advocated for this position in a letter to state and city elected leaders on March 23. With the new dates for the special elections set, the work of the CFB continues. Last week, the board issued public funds to 9 candidates in those races. For Queensborough president, the CFB paid more than $1.6 million to 6 candidates. In total, the CFB has issued more than $3.6 million in the race. In the City Council's District 37 special election, the CFB paid nearly $240,000 to 3 candidates. In total, the CFB has paid more than $330,000 to candidates in that race. In issuing these payments, the board is sensitive to the city's current budgetary circumstances. The payments are based on disclosures filed before the elections were postponed, and the board has held off on issuing them until a certain rescheduled date was established. The campaign finance program is essential to preserving the health of our democracy by providing the money candidates need to run robust campaigns. With the basic elements of campaigning now in turmoil, these resources will be more important than ever in helping candidates find new ways to connect with voters. The postponements have also caused the changes to the disclosure deadlines and contribution limits for those races. Those updates are now reflected on the CFB's website. In addition, the board will vote today on an emergency rulemaking that will increase the expenditure limit and maximum public funds allowed for each race. I will close by saying that interest in the matching funds program and our training sessions remain high despite the shutdown. The CFB reports that 38 people attended a virtual training session last week. This suggests that the 2021 elections will be the biggest we have seen in New York City in 2 decades. I'll now turn to Naomi Zador for her report.
Thank you, Chair Schaefer. The 2020 election calendar has been turned on its head by the coronavirus outbreak. With the striking images of Wisconsin voters putting their health at risk to stand in line to vote last week, it is clear that this public health emergency is the biggest threat to democratic participation that we've seen in decades. It is also clear that Americans are deeply committed to protecting our core democratic values. As we start to look at restarting the economy and social life in the coming weeks and months, shoring up our elections will be critical to restarting civic life in America. That work needs to begin now so that voters feel safe and healthy when it is time to vote in November. In New York, this means expanding opportunities for voters to cast absentee ballots. We were happy to see Governor Cuomo's executive order allowing all New Yorkers to vote via absentee in June and allowing voters to request them online. This is a welcome first step. Next, absentee voting needs to be expanded, preferably via legislation for the November elections. And the Board of Elections needs to be supported with the infrastructure and resources to make sure New York's vote is safe, secure, and complete. We also need to go beyond absentee voting to make sure all New Yorkers can vote in 2020. With in-person voter registration and canvassing events on pause, we are concerned that many New Yorkers, in particular young voters and naturalized citizens, will have no way to register to vote this year. We urge our state leadership to protect our democracy during this emergency by establishing an online voter registration system that all New Yorkers can access. In 2020, there is no reason that New Yorkers should be barred from registering to vote simply because they don't have a driver's license or access to a printer. The CFB developed an online system, and we would be happy to work with our partners at the Board of Elections to make the system work for voters and workers at the BOE. With changes happening to our elections seemingly every week, I urge you to stay in touch with NYC Votes by following us on social media or signing up for our text and email alerts. NYC Votes is committed to providing all New Yorkers with the nonpartisan, trustworthy information they need to fully participate in this critical election year.
Thank you, Naomi. As Chair Schaefer said, the CFB staff is working completely remotely, and like everyone in the world today is adjusting to this new normal. I want to thank everyone who has joined us remotely, and thank you for your patience as we hit our technical difficulties in the beginning of this meeting. We are again looking towards the 2021 election and the new realities of how that campaign will look after this outbreak. We are busy preparing for that, and looking forward to restarting our democracy with absentee balloting, and in a way that will ensure that all voters are able to participate and have the information that they need to participate, and to participate safely and healthily. So we are busy working on adjusting our plans and the way that we are going to reach New Yorkers throughout this election season and into the 2021 election season. Thank you.
All right, well, we have one matter of penalties for a candidate to consider. The candidate is not appearing. And so we're going to go into deliberations now. Amy, are we supposed to log off at this point in order to go into deliberations?
The board members should, and our agency counsel who go into deliberations with the board should log off and log into that separate deliberations meeting. Those of us who are not participating in the deliberations can stay, and we will post a notice that, for that period of time while you're in deliberations, and then you can rejoin this meeting when your deliberations are completed.
Thank you.
Okay, the board is back.
Yes.
Daphne, can you take, thank you.
All right, so the board has deliberated. We have one candidate to consider, and that candidate is William Rautenbush, a candidate for City Council District number 6 in the 2017 elections. The board proposes to find the following violations and to impose the following penalties. 1, failing to provide bank statements, $129. 2, failing to report transactions, $191. 3, failing to demonstrate compliance with reporting requirements for receipts, $323. 4, filing a late disclosure statement, $113. 5, failing to file disclosure statements, $968. 6, failing to respond to the draft audit report, $500, for total penalties of $2,224. I will move the approval of those findings and penalties. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? The motion carries. All right, so next on our agenda, we have some public funds payment recommendations. Amy, do you want to set these forth?
Certainly. The board, we're asking the board to ratify special election payments that Chair Schaefer approved. For the Queensborough's president special election, there were 3 payments made in the interim period since last board meeting, one on February 27th, one on March 9th, and one on April 8th. So for candidate Costas Constantinides, on February 27th, $107,382. On March 9th, $24,092. And on April 8th, $85,495. For Elizabeth Crowley, on February 27th, $369,407. On March 9th, $32,827. And on April 8th, $193,329. For candidate Anthony Miranda, on April 8th, a payment of $366,008. For candidate Jin Quinn, on April 8th, a payment of $440,361. For candidate Donovan Richards, on February 27th, $446,633. On March 9th, $9,965. And on April 8th, $191,274. For candidate Dao Yin, on April 8th, $377,569. Does the board want to vote on those payments, or do you want to do the special election for Council District 37 too?
You're muted.
Thank you. Let's do them separately. So I will move the, well, actually, since it's ratifying my decision, perhaps somebody else should move the Queensborough president payments.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, why don't you do the next one, Amy?
Okay. For the special election for Council District 37, there were 2 payments made, one on March 9th and one on April 8th. On March 9th, candidate Dharma Diaz, $93,062. And for candidate Dharma Diaz on April 8th, $31,517. For candidate Misbah Abdin on April 8th, $130,036. And for Sandra Nurse on April 8th, $78,348.
Rick, you're muted.
Thank you. Does someone want to move the approval of those payments?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Is that it for the ratification of prior payments, Amy?
Yes, that is.
Okay. So I think the last item on our agenda is the emergency rule. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You want to explain that one?
So our general counsel will explain the emergency rule and the 2 votes that are needed to take for that authorization. Maybe.
I got it.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry. Good morning. CFB staff recommends that the board vote to adopt a proposed emergency rule, increasing the expenditure limit in a delayed or postponed election by 0.875% for each day by which the election is postponed, up to a maximum increase of 50% of the original limit, and providing that the maximum amount of public funds payable to candidates in such elections will increase proportionately to the expenditure limit. The rule is limited to elections delayed or postponed due to circumstances found to be an imminent threat to public health or safety by the City of New York, or that are the subject of a state of emergency within the City of New York. This rule will increase the expenditure limits and maximum public funds payments applicable to the 2 New York City special elections postponed to June 23, 2020, in order to accommodate the extended campaign timeframe resulting from the postponement. In addition to adopting the proposed rule, CFB staff requests that the board vote to authorize the signature of Executive Director Amy Loprest on the proposed rule and the accompanying finding of emergency. Pursuant to Section 1043I of the New York City Charter, the emergency rule would take effect immediately upon being approved by the mayor and will remain in effect for not more than 120 days while the CFB prepares a permanent rule.
All right. So we need 2 motions, right? First, a motion to approve the emergency rule increasing the expenditure limit. I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. How shall we frame the second motion is to authorize Amy? Finish the sentence for me.
It's a motion to authorize me to sign the rule and the accompanying finding of emergency that goes with the emergency rulemaking.
Okay, so I move that we authorize our executive director to sign those documents. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. All right, with that, we've concluded our public business. I'm going to move that we go into executive session. We have no items that require us to come back and vote from executive session, and so this motion will also be a motion to adjourn following the executive session. I make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. We'll now go into executive session and then directly adjourn. Thank you very much for all of you who have participated in this, our very first virtual meeting of the Campaign Finance Board. Bye-bye.